Start out with your black paper, fold it in half, and then you're going to trim the edge so that you have two even pieces of paper. So you could make two of these if you want to. You only need one for one of the flowers. Then you're going to take 2 sheets of green paper and you're going to make sure that you know exactly where the center is and then cut those in half as well. So you can use either of these for 2 flowers if you wish, or you can pick whichever you want for your green stem. Then you're going to take your 3 sheets of colored paper and cut them into a small rectangle. So these are the papers that you're going to need for this project. Start out with one of your green papers. You're going to fold it in half and then look against your black paper about how big you want your blossom to be, and then just trim off the top of your green paper. The green paper is for the stem. Now, this is really important. You have to make sure that the folded edge of your green paper is on the right side. So right where the ruler is, on the right. If it's on the wrong side, when you cut it out, it's going to fall apart and be 2 separate pieces of paper. Now you can always glue them together, but for all of these that I'm drawing, the fold is on the right. So the fold is the middle of the stem or the middle of the flower. The fold is the middle. So always remember that before you draw. So put your ruler about 1/2 centimeter up to the edge, and you're going to draw a line, and then you're going to draw your leaves off of that. So you only have to draw on one side, because when you cut it out, it's going to open up and it's going to double. So you want the middle part to be pretty skinny, the part at the edge, because that's going to double and that's going to be your stem. So you can be creative in your leaves. Draw your leaves attached to the stem line, because they're all going to be cut out as one solid piece. Once you finish your drawing, then you're going to go ahead and cut everything out very, very carefully. Be super careful. I like to do kind of like big chunks that are just kind of on the edges and then go in and do the details afterward. So whatever works for you guys. Cut out everything and just make sure that your leaves don't fall off of the stem. If they do, it's probably okay. You can probably go back and glue them back on, but to make it perfectly symmetrical, try to keep them attached to the stem. So don't cut off the leaves from the stem. Just cut around and then go down the length of the stem that way. Once you're finished cutting, then you're going to get your other piece of green paper. I know this looks kind of yellow, but it's super light fluorescent green. You're going to get that paper, you're going to fold it in half and fit it in where your stem is so that you can trace these leaves over onto your other shade of green. You could do light green for your stem and do dark green on top, or you could do vice versa. It doesn't matter which one you use for each, as long as you have 2 shades of green. So you're going to trace each of your leaves, and once they're all traced, you're going to then cut them out a little bit smaller than the outline. So you can go in and you can kind of modify the shapes, and you're also going to cut these ones completely off the paper, so you don't want them to be connected where that fold line is. So you want to make sure that those are separated into 2 separate leaves for each shape. You'll see in a second. I'm using a white paper underneath my stem and leaves because I don't want to get glue all over my table. So I recommend doing that. Once you have glue all over the back of your stem and leaves, you can glue it onto the center of your black paper. Then using your glue stick or your glue bottle, just add some glue and glue down the opposing contrasting leaf shape. So you can see mine aren't totally perfect, but that's okay. As long as they're symmetrical and as long as you can see a little of each color for each leaf, that will look really, really nice. So glue those down in place. Now I'm just kind of taking a measurement of the blossom to make sure that my paper isn't too big, and then doing the same kind of process. For this one, I'm going to fold each paper in half, draw my flower, and then I'm going to make each one smaller as I go. So this is going to be the biggest outer shape. Then this one I'm going to make a little bit smaller, And this one will be even smaller after that. That way when I layer them, I'll be able to see the layer underneath. Cut them all out, unfold them, and you can kind of play around with them. If you do a shape that you don't love, you can always redo it. You can always try to modify it. So as you're going, you can just keep adding, and if you don't like something, you can change it. You should have more of your paper left over that you can cut a new piece. So play around with it. Once you're happy with it, do the same thing, glue it down, and then make sure that you have those contrasting colors. So now you're going to be adding little details. So make sure if you're putting it over the black area, that's fine, because any of the colors you choose, you'll be able to see. But as you go over the flower, make sure anything that you're adding on the flower itself is a different color than the paper underneath where you're putting it. So for example, if you were going to be adding some dots on the orange part, you wouldn't want them to be orange. You would want them to be either that fluorescent red color or that light pink. So make sure that you're using contrast and doing different colors as you overlap them. Here I didn't really do any over the flower, so you can see there's lots of contrast. You can see all of the elements that I cut out and put on there, and that is my completed flower. So play around with yours, be creative. You can use any colors for your blossom that you want, any shapes, any patterns. There's a reference sheet in the slideshow for you guys to use. So just have fun, do your best, and upload it to Artsonia when you're done. Good luck!